not going to judge. That's why
Okay.
we stop.
Hi guys.
Hey everybody, how we doing?
So this is our third take. Because I'm trying to. I don't want to have to edit so much, so I'm like, don't ramble. Anyway, which I just rambled. So today is we're going to talk about HQM, healthy quarantine marriage, and Eric had a good point because he was like, well, really, we're not quarantining.
We're not really practicing quarantining right now, but we are practicing social distancing, staying at home, wearing a mask, being respectful of others, and asking respect of ourselves.
Yeah, so we're just really just trying to focus on that. But we're just going to talk about pre 2020, what we did to help maintain our marriage. And when I look over to the side, because I'm looking at notes, the impact. So currently what we're doing, and then I noticed in the last video I was doing that. I kept going like this, and then what we're doing now. So for us and what we used to do, so I mean, just like most marriages, we would try to make sure we, had our date nights and we have a son, which we've mentioned, in every video. And so we do a lot of family time. We, go on staycations, we go on vacations, we do a lot of things with him. And so what I found that we needed to do was schedule time for ourselves, whether it's in the house, outside the house, things like that. Right before everything happened, we started to try to really get involved in the church that we were attending. We all got baptized at that time. And so we would have family Bible study. We would really just try to, and then Eric and I would have our time to just, pray, talk about God and things like that. Mm-hmm. But then one thing kind of popped off. That kind of, I don't know, our focus was no longer on those things.
Our focus did change.
It did, unfortunately it did.
One of the biggest things when pre-2020, and even now, when we get out of the house and we go somewhere, we go on vacation, we go on day trips, we do events, whatever it is, we always enjoy each other's company. Mm-hmm. Alicia and I get stronger together. Peyton's happy. And so we are a very happy, loving family when we all get out of the house. Bless you. And so for 2020 to happen, that changed a lot for us. And I know it changed a lot for everyone in this whole wide world. But our house was not out of the ordinary.
No, it wasn't. And so just to kind of give you guys just an idea. So for Eric, Eric broke his foot last year. And so ironically, we were already sort of quote unquote quarantining.
We were at home because I couldn't go anywhere or do anything, so we were at home.
Yeah, all the time at home. And we are a very active family. Like, we like to get out, we like to go visit the lakes, go hiking, like we stay busy. And all of that changed. And so then once he was off of quote unquote bed rest, or you were able to get out, then he was going into the office. So the impact it had on me was that because we're such an active family, I get bored easily. Like, we all like to stay active, and we were not doing any of those things. And I don't know, it just started to wear on me. I don't know. I was just like, we need to figure something out. We need to figure out something with all three of us, but then just the two of us, because we weren't even doing things. We were not, going out to restaurants, or I don't know. So I think for a little bit before everything kind of shut down, we started having little like, we would go out to lunch. We would do date lunch.
Yes.
We would, I don't know, what did we do? I don't think we did.
We did. We
tried to be creative.
We had date nights. We had date lunches. we had time to spend time with each other. Because um, our son was in school at that time, and so
It was.
we had a ton of hours in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
My work schedule allowed me to have multiple days off in a row, right? The 4 days off that I get consecutive allowed for that to happen. And then third, we just made it a point to spend time with one another, to continuously work on our marriage, because one thing that we've learned, or maybe I'll just put it to myself, that I learned, that marriage is constant work, and if you stop trying, your marriage will falter because of it.
It will. It will. But I had to communicate and let Eric know how I was feeling. Um, I don't know. I was just like, something needs to change. We need to do something. And so those are some of the things that we did. Now, as we were building, trying to make a routine for ourselves for just him and I, then everything sort of shut down and stopped. And so Eric was going into the office 4 days out of the week. Peyton was then distant learning. I wasn't back in school yet, because currently I'm in school full time. And so I wasn't in school yet. So my routine was basically waking up with Peyton, doing the things that he needed to do, and then he would get out of the house. And so it was mentally, it was tough for me. And I know some people like that doesn't sound tough. I mean, you're at home, you're not having to worry about anything. But because, I mean, this is me personally, my individual self, because I am an active person, because I like to, go and do, and we were not doing that. I think initially I was fine with it, but then I think over time, I think just like with everybody else, it started to impact me.
That's right. And then it impacted me in a different way, because I was out of the house. I was going to work 4 days a week. I was getting up early. It was a whole new routine. So instead of having 4 days off, I was actually working 4 days, which I know for a lot of people are like, well, that's easy. But for myself, that was a new, different routine that I just wasn't used to. And I needed to provide for my family, and I know my wife understood that, but at the same time, I knew that she's going through hard times at the house here. She's going through a routine, and she does not like routine. She doesn't like to wake up and live the predictable life. And so I respected those boundaries. When I came home from work, I'd be tired, because I was working 10-hour days, plus getting up extra early to try to go work out and rehab my foot that was still broken.
Wait a minute, I have to pause him because he says I don't like, even though I said it too. When it comes to Peyton, I'm okay with the routine because he likes routine, and I understand that. For myself though, I don't
She
like
doesn't like
routine.
routines.
I'll do it for other people, but for myself, I do not. And what I found though with Eric, he would he would go to work, he would be at work all day, he would come home, and I've done everything, I've cooked dinner and stuff, and I mean, and I'm going to be open and candid because we're open and candid, I want to be open and candid with you, but I had to have a come to Jesus with him conversation because I felt like he wasn't contributing to this household. I know externally he was, and I was trying to be understanding of him. But then come the weekend, because he was off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, come the weekend, I mean, there's things that need to be done, and like outside the home, and it was just not, it was nothing. And so I was just like, we need to come together, and I need you to not physically do things, but I need your help. And I think for me it was more mental. Like, I need for you to stop. I need for you to, even though Eric, he does a good job at like asking like, well, can I help with this? But I think for me, that's annoying to me. Like, and I know some people out there are going to say, "Girl, he's asking you like for," but to me, some things are just obvious, and I shouldn't have to like make and say, "Okay, I need for you to do this. I need for you to do that. I need for you." By the time I tell you everything that I need, I can do it myself. So I need for you to just take the initiative. Like, okay, I know I need to go pull weeds or whatever because I haven't done it in a while. I shouldn't have to say, "Okay, there are weeds outside. Like, you need to go and pull the weeds." I don't know. It was just annoying to me. It was because he would just have his routine. He would do what he do. He would ask me, "Do you need anything? Do you need any help?" And if I said no, okay, and off he would go. And I'm like, yeah.
Now, in all fairness, I think the front half of the year I was still on crutches.
When quarantine started, he was not on crutches. At this point, he was able to walk on his boot. And I think at one point you were off your boot and you were still in this, I don't know, but he was still acting like he was on crutches. And I was like, I was like,
in my routine.
He was.
My foot was hurting.
There are things that you could do without doing your foot, like fold laundry. Like, okay, so let me just be fair. So Eric has his things that he do, and I always say this about him. He has his things that I know that he's going to do without question. But I always tell him there are things outside of your routine that you can help out with. So we just had to have a come to Jesus talk. And I think once we sat down and I was honest with him and communicated with him like how I was feeling. And once again, I want to preface this because some people are probably like, "Girl, you're at home. Like, he's going out to work." Like, but for me, you know, it's still, even if you're at home or whatever, there's still work that needs to be done. And I feel like we all live together, we all can contribute. Though decent order, it gets clean, stuff is food. He had food every day, you know. I would make sure he had his dinner ready. I would make sure that clothes were clean. Like, yeah.
And you do an amazing job with that. She does an amazing job. Great cook. But I had to realize that she was going through a lot more when I came home and on the weekend went on than just the stressors of being mom and teacher and homemaker. There's a lot more, and I had to be considerate of her needs, her requests when I came home because she needed that ear to we all want to be heard.
Yeah.
And I know my wife needed to be heard when I came home, and so I made myself available for her.
Yeah. So, and I want to preface this again. When I was saying like I needed his help, it wasn't physical things that I needed from him. It was the support, the mental, the spiritual connection that I needed that I wasn't getting from him. So our routines are still the same. For the most part, now, you know, I'm back in school. I have a full schedule, and Peyton is still at home. So I'm doing that as well and doing everything else. So keeping myself busy mentally. So those things, but it's more of a connection of us communicating. Whether it's things that's going on outside of this house, things that are going, you know, with me personally or whatever. I think that's our biggest thing is just making sure that we stay connected and that we're listening to each other.
Right, and we had the dialogue a lot more, and there's things I might ask that may seem stupid. There's always, but to me, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Just to make sure we're on the same page, and so I'll ask her things that I'll make sure if there's things that we need to do. Hey, do you want me to cook dinner tonight? I got this. Hey, do you need me to go fold the laundry? Hey, I got this. Hey, do you want me to go reset the sprinkler box timer? I got this.
And I want to say, so he still does that, you know, the asking, but I think for me, I have to understand that's just him. And because I am particular, so I'm self-aware, because just like he'll ask about, you know, do you want me to cook? though Eric he's a good cook. I can't take that away from him. Uh, you don't think you're a good cook?
I'm waiting to see what the but is.
But I'm just particular. I like the way I cook. So I appreciate him asking. But the thing is, if he does cook, then, and even though I'll tell myself, like, we should get out of the kitchen, let him do it, I'll find myself slowly easing my way in there. I'm like, what are you doing? And then I find myself. so, so I'm very self-aware. And you have to be. You have to be self-aware. I can be honest with myself. I am a control freak when it comes to certain things. So I have to be mindful of that because I do acknowledge that he does ask, and it's okay. Sometimes it's annoying to me. I'm self-aware. Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, quit asking and just do. But then I also know how I am because if it's not done a certain way or I don't know, then I'm like, it's just like folding the laundry. Even though I don't like folding the laundry, he folds it, and I'm like, so if I'm folding the laundry, I'm like, no, let me do it. I got it. Or fold your own stuff and I got everything else. I'm self-aware. so, I am self-aware and I'm particular. So, but besides that or whatever, so communication, the whole point of that is just communicating, being very, open and honest with your communication. I think also too is what we've been able to do is to be creative with our date nights. So we still try to have date nights. Sometimes it's just in the home. So we'll try to. I bought, even though we have board games, I bought more board games. We go swimming, even though we haven't gone a lot this year. But we try to spend time outside. Outside. We go hiking. We've done a lot of like hiking, going to the lakes and stuff. We've discovered a lot of new lakes.
We have a lot of new trails. So we still get outdoors. We still get out and do things that we enjoy to do.
Yep.
We have to find new ways to go about it.
Yeah.
Just to help keep our marriage and our household fresh.
Exactly. And we try to connect with our friends outside, so outside the home. So we have a couple that we like to connect with, and we'll do, I wouldn't say it's Bible study, but we'll just talk about, things that are going on in the world, trying to do our part. So we try to do those types of things. We still, even though we haven't done a very great job of it, but Eric bought this book this year.
It's a shameless plug right now.
I know, but
Thomas.
Yeah, but Devotions of a Sacred Marriage. And this is, and actually recently we went on a little staycation and we brought this book and we had an opportunity to really just kind of, talk about, things that I think one of the things that it talked about was acceptance. I think acceptance of your spouse and what that looks like. And so, really good book, like Eric said, a little plug, but it was a really good book for us to just, talk, have that conversation. And we didn't talk about politics. We didn't talk about anything that was going on in the world. We really just focused on each other. Another thing that we try to do is unplug from social media, unplug with stuff that's going on, not talk about anything.
Take our cell phones away.
Yes. So we will do that, and we really try to do that on the weekends. We really try to or if we feel like, okay, it's getting too much or whatever, and then like, okay, we're gonna make it, a couple days, nothing. Not talking about it. We're just gonna watch Netflix. We're not watching any TV that's gonna show commercials. Yeah, none of that stuff. Yeah.
Because that stuff that's coming from the outside can impermeate, our house or your house or whose ever house. Yep. And it doesn't matter if you guys see the eye to eye on a topic. That negativity still from the outside creeps in, and it does. It plants a bad seed.
Yeah.
Or plants a bad vibe.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if you guys see eye to eye on topics or political stances or whatever that is. It's still negative energy, like Alicia said.
Yeah, it's just not good energy. Our energy needs to be about each other, what each other's needs are, wants are. So that's what we try to focus on. Um, Anything else with that?
Mental health takeaways?
Yeah, so we're gonna just talk about our mental health takeaways. So for me, mine is just schedule. Make sure you're scheduling time with one another. If you feel like you haven't had that QT time with your partner, you have to communicate that. So that's the next one. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I know sometimes it's easier said than done. I know everybody's marriage, their dynamic in their marriage is different. But you have to sometimes be creative with your communication. You know, if your husband is not the type, or your spouse is not the type, and I shouldn't say husband, I guess I'm just talking about from my point of view. But if your spouse is not the type of spouse that picks up cues, because most people are not, you have to just be, I'm just gonna put it out there, or send them a text message, or just schedule it on, like Eric and I, we have Google Calendar or whatever, so I will schedule something and include him into it. And sometimes what I found, and I know, and I want to say this more so with women, what we want from our spouse is for them to sometimes, take the lead, especially if it's date night. I've just found, like, if I want something, if I need a date night, and Eric, I've been telling Eric, and it's been a month now, we still haven't, I'll just do something. And I'm not mad about it. I'm not like, this is what I need, so I need to create it. And so, just like our last vacation or whatever, it was something that I wanted. And I think I had mentioned it to you a couple times or whatever. And, so I scheduled it. It was wonderful. He benefited from it. I benefited from it, and we were good. And I know sometimes we get a little, like, a little resentful when it's like, well, I've been saying it for, a month now and nothing. Just create it yourself. Just take the initiative and do it. And then that will energize him, and maybe he'll, the spouse, your whomever will be like, well, you know what? I'll schedule something, next time. And it doesn't have to be as grand as that type of event. It could be something small, but acknowledge it when it is something.
Yeah, and I agree. And my takeaways are, and I'll keep it short and simple, being supportive and being creative. And so, what I mean by being supportive is, and it doesn't matter if your guys' household has a one income generator or two income generators. When we come home, we need to be supportive of one another, share the load, share the tasks that need to be done when we get home, uh, and just being there to listen to your partner. They might have had a hard day at work. They might be stressed because of current situations, you know. So us being able to listen to one another, um, and without talking, without input, just listening goes a long way. And being creative. So I know we mentioned being creative a couple times, but that creativity will inspire excitement. And she's much more better at being creative than I am, than I will ever be. But just being able to think of something, because our normal routine used to be go to the movies on the weekend and go out to dinner, and then go go watch sports, or go to Peyton's games, or go on trips, or we had a routine. And it's like your guys' routines, ours have been changed too. And so we've had to find different outlets to enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. And like I said, keep it simple. I'm sorry, that's another one that I just want to add. Keep it simple, because I think sometimes we feel like it needs to be grand to have that quality time with your spouse, but it's not. It could be just as simple as sitting out on, in your backyard, at nighttime once the kids are asleep. That goes a long way. Like I said, board games, sometimes shutting off all electronics is good, and just talking. And if you have to be, oh, you know what, I should have brought that little creative game that little thing that you bought, the little date night thing. That would have been a good one. But I'm gonna put it in the description down below when I finish this video. But Ari purchased this little, I don't know, it's like a little jar, well, a little container, and it has like these little like
Day night ideas.
yeah, date night ideas, and they're just so simple. So you can buy things like that if you can't think outside, think outside the box or whatever on being, and they're just so simple, very, very simple. So just remember, keep it simple. It doesn't have to be grand. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please share, the video. Once again, hopefully it wasn't too long-winded, and you guys were able to pick up some good tips from it.
I know, and thank you guys very much for your time, and we appreciate it.